House Oversight Committee just subpoenaed Attorney General Pam Bondi to appear April 14th to answer questions related to the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Chairman James Comer saying that the committee is reviewing the, quote, possible mismanagement of the federal government's investigation of the Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and the circumstances and substance investigations of Epstein's death. They believe, and so do I, that she failed to follow the law by turning over the documents required by the deadline that Congress sets. Now, if Congress finds her in contempt of that law, they're going to refer criminal charges to the DOJ for prosecution. Okay. Florida Congresswoman and member of the House Oversight Committee, Paulina Luna. Ma'am, I'm glad that this is still alive because a lot of people thought it would go away with the thing that's going on in Iran. However, you guys have stayed on this.
Yeah, look, the Jeffrey Epstein investigation, I think until we can really charge someone, I think the American people are going to be unsatisfied with the investigations. And look, I was actually protected under the speech and debate clause and actually read some of the names of individuals that were given plea deals after they were known to have trafficked young girls. And so I don't think that that ever should have happened. I've also encouraged the Department of Justice to reopen and relook at those plea deals and potentially consider charging some of these individuals under the civil rights statute or civil rights violations, because that's outside of the statute of limitation. So look, we're going to continue on this. I know next we have Bill Gates, and the chairman has also confirmed that we'll be bringing in some of those co-conspirators to hear what they have to say.
I mean, this is great because, like, if I file my taxes 3 months late, I'm going to minimum paying fines, maybe going to jail. Do you expect any consequences for the fact that they just didn't provide you with stuff for like 3 months after the deadline?
Well, one of the problems that we had was there was an Obama-appointed judge in New York that actually had ordered a second review of all documents before they could be released. And so there was an issue with the deadline because of that forced review. I think that that was political on behalf of one of these activist judges. But ultimately, too, we saw that some of the documents at the DOJ had redactions that were given to them previously from the FBI. And then, as you know, late last year, I had actually found that there was destruction of evidence under the former deputy director of the FBI pertaining to Jeffrey Epstein. So I think even the files that we do have are probably only a partial picture, but even then, so you can see that there's some very damning stuff in there. And I think that some of these co-conspirators, again, need to be charged under different statutes because I do believe that they were engaged in trafficking. Yeah,
I wonder if she'll inform us what the Dow is during that hearing as well. The Senate also kicked off its marathon debate on the SAVE Act. Now, just this afternoon, they advanced another procedural vote forward, 51-48. But, you know, how they get it passed, I don't know. But some GOP members are saying, hey, let's at least enforce the talking filibuster if we're not going to blow the whole filibuster up as itself. What do you say, sir, ma'am?
Look, this is 100% just for show. They are hoping that this pacifies people like myself, people like Senator Mike Lee and Senator Scott, that have been saying that this is only going to pass if you embrace the talking filibuster. I don't think that Thune has any intention of doing that. I actually used my little network in the Senate and got that information earlier today and put out a tweet to actually reference that. And I'm also now being told that they have no intentions of doing anything with the SAVE Act, that they're hoping that it'll just go away and that people will stop calling them. And that's completely unacceptable, especially because the majority of these senators, well, they grovel for President Trump's support and then fail to deliver on the very basics. And so I was very happy to see President Trump said, if you don't vote for it, you're not getting my support for your reelection. And I think that that's the right position to take. But again, look, we're going to have to stick this on FISA. FISA is one of those must-pass things. They're already kind of starting to fear tactic and fear-mongering on the House floor. If you don't vote for FISA, you're going to be responsible for Americans dying. I would say that if we don't have people that are rightfully elected by the American people that result in failed leadership and failed foreign policy, that's when Americans die. So this is something that we're going to really hold the line on. And as you saw today, there was over 40 Republicans that refused to vote for Senate legislation. That will be a similar vote on FISA. I don't think they have the votes to pass it as is. No,
that's crazy to me. Also, the fact that, like, this is like an 80-20 issue in America. So, Congresswoman Paulina Luna,
it's ridiculous. Yeah.
No, thank you very much for keeping this fight up on both Epstein and the SAVE Act. We'll come back to you.
He loves the Constitution. He fights for what's right. He hates the bad guys. He's a freedom warrior. He's your freedom warrior. Watch Carl Higbie every weekday on Newsmax.